Northwest Ontario holds a special place in the heart of Mark Romanack. This region is home to Flint Wilderness Resort, located on the banks of Klotz Lake in the heart of walleye wonderland. Klotz Lake and many others in the area offer anglers the opportunity to use their own boat, motor, and gear on waters that are simply teeming with fish. Mark showcases his Smokercraft 188 Adventurer, the nearly perfect boat for targeting walleye in the Ontario wilderness. Mark is joined by his friend and industry colleague Bryan Darland, the fishing tackle buyer for Jay's Sporting Goods. Mark and Bryan emphasize the basics, demonstrating clearly that the classic bottom bouncer and spinner rig is deadly effective when it comes to fishing walleye in natural lakes.
Here, fishy, fishy. I'm ready, Mark.
All right, I'll see what I can do about steering the boat over top of something.
Okay.
Something interesting.
I'm locked and loaded. There's one.
That didn't take long, Bryan.
Oh, it didn't take long at all.
That didn't take long at all.
Nope.
Let me see if I can give you an assist with a landing net. What do we got here?
Just a little guy.
Right flavor?
Right flavor.
Oh, I think you can lift him.
Yep.
I don't want to embarrass you, Bryan, but that's not even net worthy. It's the right flavor, though.
But it's the skunk out of the box.
Welcome to Klotz Lake, huh?
We'll take it. We'll take it. Beautiful color on those fish.
Oh, yeah. He's
Beautiful
pretty.
color. Look at that.
There's one. I don't know, Bryan, but...
A little better fish?
Yeah, this is a better fish. And getting out in a little deeper water didn't hurt. But we can't complain. I mean, we've actually had pretty steady action here. I don't know if he's a netter or not, but he's got to be better than what, well, gee whiz, Bryan.
I'll put it in the net for you. How about that?
I guess when you catch your first fish on Klotz Lake, you got to pay your dues. So you got to have those eaters before you can get anything of a little better quality. But man, I love walleyes any size they are. And if a guy was just looking to put them on the table, you could not beat that fish right there. But our ambition is to see if we can't find a few bigger fish than that. But,
Oh, there's one.
Bryan, that is a good thing, man.
That's nice when you get bit, isn't it?
Yeah. I can no more than get the boat going and just kind of get us on course, and then we're hooked up again. There's no
Seems like a
shortage of
halfway
fish here.
decent fish.
Yeah. You know what? I'm
Halfway
going to
decent.
scoop that one for you just because I'm going to
Okay.
be gentlemanly about it. That is not a bad looking walleye right there.
Yeah.
Nice job, my friend. Nice job. They're getting bigger, Bryan.
All right. Much better looking fish. Look at the coloration on those. Look at the coloration on those fish. Look at the fins. You can see that color behind that fin there. Pretty awesome.
Oh, Bryan.
All right.
I am hooked up.
Net worthy fish?
Yeah, it's feeling good.
Is it?
After my first one, I'm gonna redeem myself with something a little better here. But they all feel great. And Let's see. Let me get a little closer here. About the same. Oh, hey, look at that.
And I scooped it.
And it scooped it. Thank you, sir. Thank you. No, they're not. That one's not a big one either, but we're starting to put a pattern together, and that's the thing that's interesting here is that no surprise that worms and spinner rigs, bottom bouncers are catching these fish. He's this little guy. Let me get him back quick. But what's beautiful about it is that we're at least they're starting to figure out what they're biting on. We've got a good idea that these fish seem to be between 10 and 15 feet. They're biting the worm harnesses. We're covering water, and we've been on the water a matter of a few minutes, and we've coming close to a one-man limit of fish already. So I mean that's not a bad deal. So, but we got to find bigger ones, and we got to put the pattern together a little bit better. But right now, I'm feeling good about things. This week's episode was filmed in a place called Flint Wilderness Resort. And if you're not familiar with this area, it's Highway 11 up in northern Ontario, not very far from the town of Romanack, Ontario. If you're staying at Flint Wilderness Resorts, of course, you have Klotz Lake right here, which has lots of walleyes, but you also have access to other lakes in the nearby area. You can access a lake called Flint Lake right directly from Klotz Lake, which has walleye fishing opportunities. Plus, in the 10-mile radius from where we're sitting here at camp, there's probably 20 different lakes that you can get into and fish. So if you get bored fishing at Klotz and you want to check out something else, there's lots of other opportunities, not just walleye, but perch, northern pike, and even lake trout.
Special considerations provided by Bill Lewis Lures. Special considerations are provided by Procure, ruthlessly effective bait scents.
This is
Need a net, Mark?
I don't know. I think that's another small fish, but it really has been sea fish, catch fish. And we'll unhook him here real quick, and we'll try and set the plate a little bit better so people can understand what we're doing. Obviously, we're getting a lot of bites, and we haven't found the right caliber of fish yet. It's very early in the day, so the right flavor, but just not the right quality. And to set the plate a little bit, this is the very first time that either Bryan or I have ever been on Klotz Lake, so we really have no information whatsoever. And a lot of these northern lakes are not mapped very well, and so there's not a lot of good mapping information. So where do you start? How do you take a lake you've never fished and break it down? Well, for me, it means I got to cover water. I've got to use my sonar. I'm going to have to cover water, stay in contact with the bottom as much as I can. So for me, a bottom bouncer and a spinner is a good way of contacting these fish. Covering a little bit of water. So far, all we found are small fish, but we're encouraged by that. We'll move a little deeper, see if we can find a higher grade of fish, maybe a little shallower, find a higher grade of fish. But by covering water, that's going to be your best asset to get on fish fast. So if you're not familiar with a bottom bouncer, you really ought to be. I mean, it's iconic. It's a presentation that works everywhere you take it. You can catch walleyes on bottom bouncers in rivers, natural lakes like we are here at Klotz Lake, the Great Lakes, reservoirs, doesn't matter. You have to master the bottom bouncer because it's going to catch you a lot of fish. And today we've opted to go with a spinner. And the spinner we're using is one made by Yakima Baits called the Finesse Spinner. And it's got a small blade on it, which is just ideally suited for this particular environment because the fish we're going to catch today are probably going to be less than 20 inches. 15 to 20 inch fish is what we're targeting today. So a small blade is going to be perfect for that. So we got a lot more to learn today, but we're off to a good start.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's
right.
better. That's a better
Bryan.
fish. 25 foot of water, slid out a little bit deeper. Come on now.
That's a
little better.
Well, that's a little better grade of fish. Yep. Let me hand that up to you.
All
That
right.
is exactly what we're hoping to do here.
Yep, slid out a little bit deeper, 25 foot of water, had some marks. I was actually seeing some marks out in front of us on the active target as I was sliding off that edge. What I had been doing was coming back in to shallower water at right around 20 feet. But that active target with that forward-facing sonar was showing me some marks that were down a bit deeper. I had kind of anticipated they were out in that 24, 25 foot. So kept sliding out a little bit more, dropping the bottom bouncer a little bit more, and lo and behold, better quality fish.
That's one of the nice things about a bouncer is that fishing a bottom bouncer, you can change depths very quickly with it by just letting a little bit of line out or reeling a little bit of line in. So you can fish contours efficiently with a bouncer. And but what I really like to use bouncers on is flats. We just haven't found a caliber of fish on the flats just yet, but the day is early.
So what I'm using here with the sonar, in traditional 2D sonar, what you have is a cone that goes all the way down, and when you're on a steep drop-off like this, your cone is going to smash the side of that drop-off and kind of create a flat valley of the cone there, and it won't read anything below that on the deeper part of the drop-off. So one unique thing is your forward-facing sonars like the active target here. It allows me to be able to see that drop-off, so that way I can see what direction that drop is. Let me sneak out in here to 20 foot or so. we can see this part where it's showing me that drop off over to our right, showing me exactly where we are, versus the left graph at 2D sonar showing exactly what's right below the boat. So I can anticipate that drop coming up and know the direction that I need to put the boat at.
A little bit more of a rod bend on that one.
Let me grab the net for you. Oh yeah, came right up on the surface there.
Let's see what we got here, if it's the right flavor.
It is.
Yes, it is. Oh, look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Almost a catch and release. Nicely done there, Brian. I appreciate that. Let's get this one out of here. People often talk about crawler harnesses, and in pikey waters like this, people want to run. Crawler harnesses are tied on real heavy material. They want to, even use steel leader material. Don't go there. You're going to have the occasional bite off, but you want to keep that light line. These are tied on 10-pound test line and fluorocarbon, and yeah, it almost broke off on this fish, but it's pretty easy to tie new leaders. So Klotz is starting to show us what its colors are. Man, is that a beautiful fish?
Looks like a decent one.
That is a decent fish, yeah.
Looks like a good one.
Hasn't given up the ghost yet, has he?
No, not yet. Buddy. Still trying to act up.
Yeah, he don't like you. He don't like you much at all. There we go.
There we go.
Nice done. Very, very nice fish.
Same tactics, kind of going in and out of the break line again as well. That's a solid fish. Nice chunk on that. All right.
Special considerations are provided by Precision Trolling Data and the Lake St. Clair Walleye Association. Special considerations provided by the Ultimate Sport Show Tour, Michigan's elite sport shows. Eagle Claw presents the 411 on fishing.
You know, one of the most important purchases you're going to make as an open water troller is purchasing your line counter reel. And I tell you what, I get this question a lot, is what am I looking for when I'm looking for the perfect line counter reel? And in my opinion, you want to spend your money on the reel and maybe save your money on the rod. And the reason for that is it's not really a presentation where the rod needs to be super sensitive and you need to spend a ton of money on that trolling rod. But the reel is something that's an investment. You're going to purchase that reel and hopefully you're going to have it for years to come. But when it comes to line counter reels, there's two big main differences in line counters, and I hear it all the time. You got the low profile and you got the conventional round frame line counter reel, and which one is better in what application. And when it comes to walleye fishing, you're going to find that there is no right answer when it comes to that. A lot of it comes down to personal preference. But my two favorite line counter reels, the ones you'll see me fishing a lot on Fishing 411, comes down to this one right here, which is a low profile. It's the Lexa 300. And then also Daiwa's new Saltus, which is your round frame reel, more conventional size reel. It's a size 20 Saltus. These two reels are my workhorse when it comes to walleye fishing. Now, what I mean by it comes down to personal preference is it really depends on your style of fishing. If you like that smaller reel in your hand while you're fighting the fish, you might like that low profile. If you like a little bit beefier setup, that round frame reel might be what you're looking for. Now the Lexa 300 is a great reel. It has 22 pounds of drag pressure, which is huge for me because I like to be able to back that tension. Perfect when it comes to planer board fishing. When we're fishing big fish like on Lake Erie, I want to be able to back that drag off. And what a heavy drag pressure does is allows you to have a wider range of where your drag is set, if that makes sense. Now the other thing that's really nice about the low profile reel is it holds about 220 yards of line. So it doesn't hold a lot of line, but when it comes to walleye fishing, that's more than enough line that we need on a day-to-day basis. Now when it comes to this other reel here, the Saltus, this is a size 20, and again, it's that bigger size reel. And when you go to a bigger framed reel, you can go to a higher gear ratio. And what I mean by that is this is a 6:1 gear ratio. That means you're picking up about 35 inches of line for every rotation of that reel handle. So maybe that's important to you. Maybe if you're running really long leads and you're trying to reel in really quick and change out colors, maybe that little bit of extra line that you can pick up from the bigger frame reel is an important thing to you. So like I said, it comes down to your personal preference. Now the last thing about the bigger framed reel is you can put more line on that bigger frame. For instance, this particular 20 size reel, you can get 420 yards of line on. So that's considerably more than that low profile reel. So whether you're looking for the round frame conventional size reel or that low profile line counter reel, you really don't have any wrong answers here. They're both really good reels. Both of these reels are workhorses. In their application, it comes down to your personal preference.
Eat it, eat it, eat it. There he is.
Bryan, how many times have I told you not to play with your food?
You gotta let him eat it.
You coaxed that one into biting.
He wasn't wanting to eat very well. He finally took it. Come on, buddy.
Oh, that's not a bad fish.
Eater?
That's not a bad fish.
Be an eater size for sure.
Let's take a second and talk a little bit about how to set a bottom bouncer properly. It's not difficult. If you do it properly, you'll find you'll catch a lot of walleye on this presentation. And essentially it starts with speed. And your boat has to have the speed going before you deploy your bottom bouncer into the water. You can't speed up and slow down with a bottom bouncer. You want to maintain a pretty standard speed, a pretty stable speed. The best speed for getting bottom bouncers and spinners to function is between 1.2 and 1.5 miles an hour. So what we'll do is we're using the electric motor for boat control. So Bryan has dropped the electric motor, he's set his speed. So now what I can do is I can put the bottom bouncer in the water and look at my blade spinning, and I can see that it's rotating nice and clean. So I can tell that's what I'm looking for. I don't want a blade that does this and stops. I want a blade that's on a steady rotation. So now that I have that, and I know that that's good, all I need to do at this point is open the bail on my reel, and I'm just gonna free spool, and you can watch the spool here. As the bottom bouncer goes down, I'm paying real close attention to the spool, because when the bouncer hits the bottom, that spool will stop for just a millisecond. Once I got to the bottom, I put my finger on it and I let everything kind of pull tight. So now what's happening is because of friction, the boat moving forward, the bottom bouncer is actually lifted off the bottom just slightly. Well, I want it to be in contact with the bottom. I don't want it ticking the bottom. So what I'm going to do now, after I pull it for a few seconds, I'm going to let it go down again. See right there? Slowed down and stopped again. So let it to the bottom once, let it to the bottom twice, and that's all you need to do. Put the reel in gear. Now at this point, you can hold the rod. You can pump it a little bit if you want. If you get tired, you can put it in a rod holder. A rod holder will actually fish just about as well as anything. So a bottom bouncer fishes good with the rod in your hand, fishes good with the rod in a rod holder, and fishes good with virtually any person can learn to do this, whether you're young or old. Bottom bouncer catches fish day in and day out.
Special considerations are provided by Cisco Fishing Systems and Striker brands. Go early, go late, go prepared. Special considerations provided by Fishhawk Electronics and Daiwa Corporation.
We'll see what this one's going to be here, whether it's the right flavor or not, but it's a
Oh, looks
good
like the
pulling
right
fish.
flavor to me.
Oh yeah.
Got him.
Thank you very much. This one little corner here has produced us a couple of quality bites.
Yes.
That's a Klotz Lake walleye right there for you. Things are starting to pull together. You know, the bite is consistent. We're catching lots of fish. We're maybe not catching the grade of fish that we want, but considering that we've only been on the water a few hours in a body of water we've never fished before, we'll take this. But for right now, I'm feeling pretty good about that Klotz walleye. If you're gonna plan a summertime trip to Klotz Lake and Flint Wilderness Resort, you're gonna wanna come with a couple of special products that are gonna help you catch fish. One, certainly bottom bouncers. You're gonna need a good assortment of bottom bouncers. These are Eagle Claw bottom bouncers. I would recommend 1 ounce, 2 ounce, and 3 ounce. They come 2 in a package. But the harnesses you're gonna put on here, the ones that we used to have so much success, this one is a finesse harness. It's made by Yakima Bait Company. It's tied on lighter fluorocarbon line, about 10-pound test, and it has smaller hooks, number 4, and smaller blades, and it really works well for finesse fishing. The other harness that we had some success with is called a Hammer Time spinner, and it's tied on 15-pound test, so it's a little bit of a little bit heavier fluorocarbon, has a number 2 hook, a little slightly larger hook, and it also has larger blades. They come in 4s and 5s and 6s. So a good assortment of harnesses, some bottom bouncers, and you're gonna catch lots of walleyes. Oh, by the way, did I mention, you better bring a bunch of crawlers, because you're gonna go through about 12 dozen crawlers a day.
It's kind of incredible, actually. Full eater-sized fish. These walleyes in here, they look just gorgeous, and they are super, super plentiful. You know, we're putting in, I don't know, 40, 50 fish a day at least. It's unreal, maybe more. It's kind of like clockwork.
Believe it or not, there's a right way and there's a wrong way to put a night crawler on a harness. And I think the most common mistake I see is people will have a 2-hook, or some people even use a 3-hook rig, and they want those back hooks to be as far back in a night crawler as possible. And the thought process is there's too much night crawler dangling out here that they're going to get short bit and they're going to miss fish. And they're missing the entire point. You want that long tail on the night crawler because that's what triggers the strikes in the first place. So for a 2-hook harness like I have, you can see I got the first hook just barely through the tip of the night crawler. The second hook needs to go just into the collar, no further back. Now I realize that there's 6-8 inches of night crawler dangling out there, But that dangling night crawler, that's the action. That's what gets the bite in the first place. If you take that hook and you put it too far back in the night crawler, thinking that it's going to act like a stinger, you get a bend in the night crawler or a J, and it causes the night crawler to roll in the water, and that's not attractive to fish. So make sure when you put that hook in there, that second hook, get it right about the collar, get that nice straight night crawler, and you're going to catch more walleyes.
There you go.
Yeah, this feels very good.
Try not to get the net hung up in my fishing rod there.
Well, he's not here yet, but
Oh yeah.
oh man,
Look at that.
stay buttoned up here, Buggy. This is a good fish. Come on, Bubba. Cooperate here for me. Oh yes. One more scoop and I think we got him, Bryan.
Got him.
Oh yes. There we go. Well, that's a beautiful fish.
Good one there.
That is absolutely a beautiful fish. I love it. I love it to pieces, man. You just can't catch enough of these. Thanks for watching Fishing 401. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Bryan Darland from Jay's Sporting Goods for helping me catch just a boatload of walleyes up here on Klotz Lake. I'd also like to thank the fine folks from Flint Wilderness Resort for hosting our adventure. If you get a chance to come up this way in northwestern Ontario, check out Klotz Lake. You'll catch a boatload of walleyes.
Closed captioning is provided by Lakeside Motorsports, Michigan's premier marine and power sports company. Fishing 411 is brought to you by Offshore Tackle, Lowrance Electronics, Starcraft Marine, Yamaha Outboards, Yakima Bait Company, Niagara Falls, USA, Smooth Moves, Bill Lewis Lures, and Jay's Sporting Goods.
Yep. Professional release. That's what we call that.
I was gonna help you on that, but I was having too much fun watching you struggle. Bryan, I don't know if you know, we have a landing net, so it's kind of a rubber bag thing. We usually put